Hey, Danny here. I hope everyone is doing okay. I hope your Christmas Eve was awesome and you spent it with your family. I hope your Christmas was awesome. Mine was great. I was with my family, my mom, and my brothers and sisters. So everything was great. Thank you for asking. Today I want to talk about something very important. I want to talk about why fathers are important. Very important. If you are a father or you are about to be a father, this is going to be for you and also for everyone. You know, it's just a message. I'll tell you a story about me, a personal story that I don't really talk about a lot. When I was younger, I grew up with my mom and dad until I was about 6. My dad had a problem he had an addiction, an alcohol addiction. He was always drinking. Jesus, sometimes he could talk to me and I could smell the alcohol coming from his mouth. Like the smell. Let's just say he wasn't the best father. They broke up when I was 7. It didn't last that long. And then what happened after that in my life is nothing but confusion and a series of unfortunate events. As a boy, my mom is Christian. I come from a Christian family, so me and my brother, my older brother, she sent us to boarding schools. That's where I grew up at. She would do that, but these weren't regular boarding schools. These were Christian boarding schools. So it was it always has something to do with the church. So growing up and being around other boys for the first time was kind of strange for me. I mean really strange, because I noticed something very interesting. Their behavior was not the same as mine. Because after my mom left my dad, we moved to my grandmother's house. And there I grew up with 6 women. Literally 6 women. 3 of my aunts, my grandma, my mom, and my little sister. My brother, I'll come back to him. And since I grew up with women, my behavior compared to other boys was not the same. And I noticed that in high school, especially. I noticed that other boys that had dads in their lives would behave more they were more rowdy, and more assertive, and they would say things and then do these things, and it was quite shocking to me because I didn't get why I wasn't like them. You feel me? And they would be talking and saying things like, "Oh, you know what? How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet? I can go down there and talk to her and get a number." And I was like, "How could he be so sure?" You feel me? How could he be so confident? And I would always mess everything up because they'd be talking yeah, I can get her number. Danny, I bet you can get her number. And I'll be like, should I not talk to her first? And then they'd be like, man, this dude. So I would always do something that would kind of mess up the entire masculine vibe. I noticed that when boys talked, during lunchtime, they would talk and someone would say something. And then the other would say something else. And then out of nowhere, they would start fighting. And I'm like, why? Why are they fighting? Because they're men. Because they're boys. It doesn't take that much for them to fight. It is not a bad thing. Because that's who they are. But I didn't get it. I didn't get why it was always hands clapping. What you trying to do? What's going on? I didn't get why. Everyone seemed so angry, but they weren't angry. They were just boys. I was just raised around women. You feel me? I had to do a lot of work in my life. I'm in a different space right now. I'm very masculine, obviously. I grew up. I'm 28 now. I just turned 28 December the 1st. You know, but it was back then, and these differences kind of bothered me a lot because I wouldn't know how to react around other men, and it was very uncomfortable. Because now I'm thinking, what happened? Why am I so different from this man? And then it hit me, and I was like, oh wow, it's because my dad wasn't there. Because they would always tell me stories, or like me and my dad, we did this, and me and my dad, my dad told me this. He told me how to do this, and my dad don't play that. Like my dad, first of all, he told me how to do this and do that. Like it was always like super cool stories about your dads, And these are not like superheroes. These are like regular human beings, but it's just something they said to these kids, these boys, that made them the way they are, that I wasn't. And before you say, oh, every boy isn't the same, no. There's a certain characteristic that a boy has when he grows up with his dad compared to a boy who didn't grow up with his dad and grew up with only his mom. These are different boys, right? And I wanted to, and I'm not saying you got to be like super aggressive all the times because you're a boy. No, I'm just saying there are certain characteristics, that you got to possess. You got to be assertive. You got to be confident. You got to be able to talk to people. I couldn't even look at people in the eye. I couldn't even get a grip when I was shaking other people's hands, And this is where dads are very important. You have to teach your children, especially your boys, how to behave around other people. Please make time for your boys, because it'll always hurt me, and I will sit down and think about it because I've made a lot of mistakes because I didn't have nobody in my life. And the only man I had was my brother. And I love my brother, but he didn't want to hang out with me that much. So I kind of grew up without him, So I kind of had to figure stuff out on my own. And by doing that, I made a lot of mistakes, And it always made me sad because it's crazy how there are people out here who all they need is for someone to tell them, do not do that. Don't do that. If you do this, this is going to happen. Don't behave like this. You got to behave a certain way. When when you shake people's hands, you got to get you got to get a grip. You got to get you got to shake their hand and look at them in the eye and be able to talk. There are a lot of boys who are out here that are lost. I mean, super confused. I was confused. I didn't know how to act. And women was another issue. I mean, God, Jesus, if I even start, I had an issue when I was a kid. I was always nervous. I didn't even know how to start. But it would be easy for other boys, and I was like, then how they do that, Like how they, you feel me? It didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me how other kids or other boys, could be so assertive. And the things they did, the sports. And I'm not saying every boy has to be an athlete, but I kind of wanted to be part of it, but I don't know. I was scared. What if they hurt me? What if it's like just weird stuff that you shouldn't even care about? You should be able to just do stuff as a man, but I just couldn't, and that kind of messed up my life a little bit. You feel me? And if you're a father, please make time for your kids, especially your boys. Please make time for them. It doesn't even have to be much because we see you as superheroes. Like that's how, like I used to see my dad as a superhero. Like I would literally cry when he lived. I'm like literally I would cry. I'm talking about, well, are you leaving forever? Like stuff like that. I used to literally cry for this dude. And when he came back home, I used to run up to him and hug him like really tight. Right? And this guy was so he was an alcoholic. He had issues, but just the fact that he was there made me happy. I mean, it made me super happy. So kids don't need much. They don't know much about no money. None of that. Whatever it is you have is enough for them. Just you showing up is really important to them. It's really important. My dad had nothing. He had nothing. I'm talking. We used to live in a one-bedroom apartment. Me, him, and my mom and my brother. So he had nothing, but I still loved him and I still appreciated him. You know, just try and make time. Make time for all your kids, especially your boys if you're a father. You know, teach them how to react to the to adversity, obstacles, to react to rejection. Because there's a lot of boys out here who get rejected and then they get violent. That's not you shouldn't get violent because you got turned down by a woman. That should not be an issue. You shouldn't be hitting women. You gotta let them know you don't hit women. You just walk away from them if you get too angry. If you have to look at things from a logical perspective. Be able to be a problem solver. But you don't have to be aggressive while you're solving problems. Try and talk to people. Look at people in the eye when you talk. In the eyes. I mean, when you talk to them, it's also very important. I had an issue with that. My head was always down while I was talking to people. That's not okay. You gotta be able to look at people and talk to them. Take them out fishing. I don't know. Do stuff with them and talk to them. Dude, it's very important because you don't know how important it is until they grow up. And now they're confused. The world is like super confusing to them, and they can't handle anything. They can't handle insults. They can't handle small tasks. They can't handle anything. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be the richest. No. Because all kids need is time. It sounds crazy. It's not even that expensive. Because these are your kids. Just give them some time. Just a little bit. They're going to appreciate it when they get older. I notice in life that it's not about the money. There are kids who their fathers didn't have a lot of money, but still they love them. They have a good relationship with them. I'm talking good. Like, I envy that. I envy that because I never had that, and it's beautiful to see. A father who was always there for his son, taught him how to be a man, and you see them together. They're like friends. It's such a good thing to see. Fathers are very important. Fathers are very important. I know society right now has men, I don't want to get into that, but men are getting a lot right now. It's a lot going on with men. But I'm here to tell you that you're important. Your job it's amazing. Especially when it's done well. Try to take time with your kids. Give them time to be nice to them. To your boys especially. Take them to games. Teach them about life and women, and careers, whatever it is they want to learn, whatever it is, just be there for them. Please. That's my message for you today. Fathers are very important. And this is coming from a guy who spent his entire life without a dad, except for those little years. I haven't really seen my dad that much. Last time I saw him, I don't even know how old I was. It looked like he had something to drink. So take care of your kids, man. Take care of your kids. They are going to appreciate it, especially when they get older. That's my message for you today, Danny. I'm out.